Hi everyone, welcome to the Java session on operators. In this session, we are going to see some of the interesting points related to operators. Let me go to the first slide. Let me start with arithmetic operators. We all know that addition, subtraction, multiplication, division and modulo operators are the arithmetic operators. And some of the interesting points related to arithmetic operators are: if we apply arithmetic operators between two variables, let the two variables be a and b. In that case, the type of the result, the data type of the result will be the maximum type of integer and type of a, type of b. Out of these three types, integer, type of a and type of b, out of these three types, which one is the maximum type? That type will be allocated to the result. Observe here, this looks to be a fine code, but this code will not compile. Observe this code. This was the code you need to observe. I had taken three variables. The first variable is byte A equal to 10. Yes, 10 is in the range of byte. It holds, no problem. Byte B equal to 20. 20 is also in the range. It also holds, no problem. But whenever I am performing arithmetic operation, addition between A and B, now observe the type of result. Here int is 1 and 2 are bytes. A is of byte type and B is also of byte type. Observe, among these three types, integer is the maximum type. So the result of A plus B will be of type integer. But whenever I am trying to store an integer result into a byte type, I will get the error. This is the point you need to observe. And let me go to the next slide. Observe, whenever we are performing a division by zero operation, we often think that always we will get error. This is not the case. Observe, whenever I am performing the division by zero operation between two integers, 10 is a integer, 0 is also integer. When both are integers, I will get a runtime error, that is division by zero. But out of these two, if any one of the thing is a double, which is nothing but any one of the number is a floating point number, then in that case, I will not get the error. Instead, I will get the value infinity. I will check these values in the compiler also, no problem. Observe the points carefully. Now, minus 10 by 0.0. Here also, one of the number is a floating point number. In that case, I will get the result as minus infinite. Now, whenever I am performing 0 by 0, I will get error because both are integers and 0 by 0 is not a number. We cannot evaluate. If one of the number is a floating point number, then in that case, I will get not a number as output. Similarly, if any one of the number is a negative number and a floating point number, in that case also I will get not a number. Observe these 2 points. Whenever I am dividing with 0, if any one of the number is a floating point number, I will get positive infinity or negative infinity. If both the numbers are 0 and any one of the number is a floating point number, then in that case I will get not a number. Let me go to the next slide. Here we are going to see relational operators. We generally know relational operators are used to compare two values. Similarly, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. These are all the sum of the relational operators. Now, we need to observe some points related to relational operators. Whenever we apply relational operators, we can apply to any primitive type like integers, floating point numbers, but we cannot apply these relational operators to the Boolean values because we cannot compare Boolean values like is true is greater than false. There is no meaning, right? So we will get error when we apply the relational operators to the Boolean type. Similarly, we cannot apply the relational operators on objects also. How can we apply relational operators on objects? For example, there are two objects. There are two students. Student is S1 and the second student is S2. We cannot apply relational operators directly on students, right? Instead, we can apply the relational operators on their properties. Like if a student 1 having certain height and student 2 is also having some certain height, I can apply relational operators on their properties, like student 1 height is greater than the student 2 height, student 1 weight is more than the student 2 weight. Like that I can apply on their properties, but directly I cannot apply the relational operator on objects. Observe coding 123, it is a string object. Similarly, coding is also a string object. Whenever I am applying the greater than symbol, which is nothing but a relational operator, directly on the objects, I will get the error. Now, let me go to the next slide. Observe the increment and the decrement operators. The increment and decrement operators are of two types: pre-increment, pre-decrement, post-increment and post-decrement. If we use the plus plus or minus minus before a variable, we are going to call it as a pre-increment or pre-decrement. If we use the plus plus or minus minus after the variable, then we can call it as post-increment or post-decrement. Observe the result when you apply the increment and decrement operators. Let the initial value of x be 10. Now, whenever you apply y equal to plus plus x, first the plus plus x will be done, which means 11 will be stored into the y value and the x value will be incremented, x will be 11. Now, whenever you apply x plus plus, first the x value will be stored into y, which means the 10 value will be stored into y, and later x will be modified, means y value will remain as 10, x value will become 11. Similarly, whenever you apply minus minus x, first x value will be decremented and the decremented value will be stored into y. Now observe, 9 will be stored into y and x value decremented, right? So we will get 9 here. Similarly, whenever I apply x minus minus, first initially x value will be stored into y and later x value will be decremented. Now y value will become as 10 because first x value will be stored into y and x value got decremented to 9. In this way, you need to evaluate increment and decrement operators, and let's see some of the points related to increment and decrement operators. Observe, these are applicable only to the variables. If you apply to the constant, you will get error. Here x is a variable, you can apply the increment and decrement operators. There will be no problem. If you apply these operators on a constant, you will get the error, right? Similarly, you can apply increment and decrement operators to any primitive type, not only integer type. You can apply to the byte type or double type, etc. Right? You can apply on integer type or double type. There will be no problem. Value will be just incremented or decremented. But whenever you apply these increment and decrement operators on the Boolean type, you will get error, because how can you increment the Boolean value? Boolean value will be true or false. If how can you apply the increment and decrement operators, right? Whenever you apply b plus plus, true will not get incremented, you will get the error. Okay, now let's go for the next slide. Equality operator. Here you need to observe a difference between the equality operator and the equals method. The equality operator is used to check the equality of the references. Observe, I am taking two string objects. S1 is the reference for the first string object, S2 is the reference for the second string object. This will looks like this. This is the first string object and this is the second string object. Both are different memory locations. This is pointing by S1 and this is pointing by S2. Both are pointing to different memory locations. Now, but both are having the same content, right? The first string having the same content high, second content, the second string is also high. Whenever I apply s1 dot equals x2, here the content will be checked. High, high, both are equal, so we will get true. But whenever you apply equality operator s1 double equal to s2, in that case you will get false, because here reference will be checked. S1 is referring to one object, S2 is referring to another object. Both are different, right? So whenever you are trying to perform equality operator, both are different, right? So in that case, you will get the result as false. Now let me go to the next slide. Instance of operator. It is used to check the object is belonging to which class, right? Used to know the type of the object. This is very useful when we are having thousands of lines of code. If you are having more number of code, then in that case we can't directly say this object belong to which class. In that case, we need to apply the instance of operator so that we can know the type of the object. Observe, I had taken a class thread t equal to new thread. We all know that thread class is used to create and instantiate the threads. Observe, I am checking t is instance of thread. Yes, t is of type thread, right? So we will get true. Similarly, t is instance of runnable. It is also true because thread class indirectly is internally implementing the runnable interface. So there will be no problem. The t is also an instance of runnable. T is also an instance of object. This is also true because object is a superclass for all the classes in Java. But whenever you are performing t instance of string, you will get false because there is no relation between the type of t, which is nothing but thread class, and the string class. There is no relationship. So t is not an instance of a string, so you will get false here. Now let me go to the next slide. Observe the bitwise operators. These are used to perform the bitwise operations, which means operating on the bits, individual bits. And these are AND, OR, and XOR. Observe, you can apply like this also on the predicates also, Boolean predicates. True and false, you will get false because if both the values are true, then only you will get true. In all the remaining cases, you will get false. True or false. If any one of the value is true, you will get true. So you will got true. If both the values are false, you will get false. Now true XOR false. Here, the case should be different. Means this is a true and this is a false. Both values should be different. In that case only you will get true. If both values are same, like true XOR true, you will get false. False XOR false, you will get false because both values are same, right? If values are different, then in that case you will get true. Similarly, you can operate on the bits 4 and 5, right? How can we write 4? We all know that 8421 codes, right? Binary codes, 4 to 1 like that. Now, let me write the binary code for 4. 4 can be written as 100. Similarly, 5 can be written as 101. Now, logical AND means if both are 1, then only 1, otherwise 0. In that case, 0, 1, you will get 0. 0, 0, you will get 0. 1, 1, you will get 1. This is the binary code of what? This is the binary code of 4, right? We are observed this is the binary code of 4. Now, similarly, whenever you perform 4 or 5, observe whenever you are performing 4 or 5, 0, 1, you will get 1. 0, 0, you will get 0. 1, 1, you will get 1. If at least 1 is there, you will get 1 here. Here it is 5. Here it is 5. Now 4 XOR 5 means observe this result. 0, 1 means you will get 1. Both are same. In that case, you will get 0. Here also 1, 1. Both are same. You will get 0. This XOR operation, right? You will get result as 1. This is the result related to AND operator on 4 and 5. This is the result related to OR operator. This is the result related to XOR operator. And now, whenever you are performing negation, you need to remember a formula is negation of x equal to minus x plus 1, which is nothing but minus of 4 plus 1 is nothing but minus 5. In this way, you need to write minus of x plus 1 is nothing but 4 plus 1, which is nothing but minus 5 is the result. Now, let me go to the next slide, short circuit operators. Here, these are the special operators. You can observe what is the difference between short circuit and bitwise operators in a minute. These are the symbols. This is the AND and the OR. Observe whenever you are performing the short circuit operators on two predicates, condition 1 and condition 2. Here I am applying AND, right? AND will result what? If both are true, then only true. Otherwise false, right? If condition 1 is false, then there is no need to check condition 2, right? Here it is the case. Condition 2 will be evaluated if and only if condition 1 is true. If condition 1 is false, condition 2 will not be evaluated. Similarly, whenever you are performing OR operator, condition 2 will be evaluated if and only if condition 1 is false. Condition 1 is false, then we need to check whether condition 2 is a true or false. Based on that result, we can get the result. Okay. Observe here, I am taking int x equal to 10. Now I am incrementing the plus plus x, which means what? Now the x value will become 21 on incrementing. On incrementing 21, x value becomes 21. 21 less than 10, this condition failed. If one condition is failed, you no need to check this condition for AND operator, right? So this condition will not be evaluated. Even though I had written a wrong case, x by 0 greater than 10, it will result error, right? But this is not at all evaluating by the JVM, so we will not get any error. Simply it will enter into the else and we will get the output as high. Okay, observe. But whenever I replace this short circuit operator with AND operator, both the conditions will be evaluated, and plus plus x 21 less than 10 false. This is also evaluated, and this expression will raise an error called as division by 0 error. And this is all about today's session. We discussed some interesting points related to arithmetic operators, relational operators, equality operators, instance of operators, and the short circuit operators. In the next session, we will discuss some more interesting points. Thank you for the participation. This is for our channel. Here you can see the recorded videos. Thank you.